Hi, welcome to SAA, or Self-Advocacy in Action, for tour at the University of Rochester. Today you'll be learning how to navigate the course on Blackboard and how you will be structuring your work throughout the semester. So you should see the Blackboard home screen, and if you log in with your Net ID on your Blackboard homepage, you can see your courses, announcements, and organizations. So we're looking at organizations. Under My Organizations, which is on the right side of the screen, you should find organizations. Yours will say where you are a participant, and Tour will be one of them. So you'll just click on that. I'm going to enter Student Preview just to show you what it'll look like from your side. So when you land on this organization or the homepage of the course, you will see the welcome page, which has our SAA, or Self-Advocacy in Action, logo. And this page also has a little bit of information about the tour, how the tour program is kind of working on some things that complement our work in the SAA curriculum, and how BOCES is also working on some of these self-advocacy skills. So the main thing I want to point out to you at the beginning of this is that each week you will have about an hour of asynchronous work to complete as a coach for the self-advocacy curriculum. So you will train on the lesson that you will implement the following week with your tour SAA mentee. So each week you will have an hour of asynchronous work and an hour of work with your tour student, which is going to be the lesson that you learned how to do the week before. So to show you what I mean, here's an overview. If you go to the schedule tab on Blackboard, you can see the this section on the left-hand side has welcome, schedule, critical commentaries. We'll talk about some of these other items in a minute, but you can collapse or expand this sidebar so that you can see or not see those menu items. So if I have this expanded, I'm just going to click on, the welcome page is kind of where we land, and then the schedule is right under that. Takes us to the spring 2023 schedule, which is when we will be working on this. So your first week in January, the first couple days of classes, you will be hopefully watching this video and just going over kind of how to use this course. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about what you're doing each week when we get to those weeks. But this overview of the schedule shows, the 16 weeks of the semester and what you will be doing for your hour of asynchronous work. This is on your own. You can do it whenever you would like during that week and log your hour, or about log the time that you took to complete. If it takes a little bit more than an hour, a little bit less than an hour, that's totally fine. Just log your hours accordingly. And then your 1 hour of work with your tour SAA mentee, or the tour student you were working on for the self-advocacy curriculum. So you'll see the first couple weeks, you do have asynchronous work, but you don't necessarily have to meet with your tour SAA mentee yet. We're working on getting your placements and matches with your schedules. So the first week that you have to work with your tour student for SAA is the week of January 30th, when you'll be implementing that first lesson called What is Self-Advocacy, which you will have learned how to implement the week before on your asynchronous work. So the first 2 weeks are kind of just introduction, getting you used to using the course. You can meet with your SAA mentee if you would like. Then when you start getting into the lessons, the first lesson is What is Self-Advocacy? And then you can, again, meet with your SAA mentee if you would like. And then you start implementing those lessons in week 4. And then you'll see we have the lessons, self-reflection, growth mindset. You have a week of catch-up work, and then BOCES is on break while you're working on the rights and responsibilities lesson for after break. then working on circles of support to prepare for after the University of Rochester's break. There's no work over that week. Talking about myself, thinking about the future, another catch-up week for BOCES being on break, then situations and steps, goal setting. And then the last week, your asynchronous work will be kind of reflection and touching base, wrapping up. And then, that last week of classes, the last day of classes is April 26th. So that last week is a 3-day week. You can meet with your tour SAA mentee to reflect on the semester or just wrap anything up that you would like to, but that is optional. But you can choose to work that week if you would like, or you can choose to be done. So let's talk a little bit about what some of these other pieces on the left-hand menu are. So like I said, this is an overview of the schedule. So you will, each week, you will go to the week that is designated with the dates. So for example, during the week of January 11th through the 13th, you'll click on week 1, and this will take you to a page where you have your asynchronous work, your work with your mentees, and then any critical commentaries, which are reflections. We'll talk about those in a minute, or any lesson materials that you'll need while you're training. So, so this first week, you will click on how to watch this, how to use this course, and that's where the link to this video is. At the mid-year training, which is in January, you will be getting a packet of materials for SAA. It has some worksheets, scissors and glue, a couple other small materials in a bag. And that will be yours to use for the whole semester. The worksheets will go home with your tour student after each of the lessons that you use one of the worksheets for. The scissors and glue and any leftover materials will have you turn in at the end of the semester. So just make sure you kind of hold on to those, because that'll be yours to use throughout the semester for all of the activities. Your first critical commentary is just kind of to practice and get used to using the critical commentary feature in Blackboard. And then of course you can always email me or reach out if you want me or if you have any questions. So let's talk about critical commentaries. For each week that you have a critical commentary, it will be listed in green at the bottom of the page. It'll tell you the due date, and it is due at 11:59 p.m. on that Sunday night, with the exception of the week when there's U of R break. You have to complete your work a little bit earlier that week because we don't want you working over break. So then you will go to critical commentaries and then click on the one that is for that week, and it will correspond with the week that is listed. So for example, you will, if you scroll down, you'll see there is not a CC number 6. That is because during week 6, you don't have to do a critical commentary. So all of those dates correspond with the weeks and with the CC number. So a critical commentary is a couple of things. It's a reflection on the content that you learned that week. It's self-reflection on how this applies to you. And then you're also going to be describing the application of the activities that you learned how to do with your mentee. So you're basically kind of like walking us through your lesson and how that's going to work with your particular SAA tour mentee. So the format for critical commentaries on Blackboard, they are called journals. These are private, so only myself or Mary Beth can see them, and that will give you the platform to reflect a little more openly. But the format can be whatever you like. You can do a written journal, you can create a video and post it, you can do a PowerPoint, you can do an audio recording. You can do any representation of your choice for every single critical commentary, and you can mix it up. You can do all of them the same throughout the whole semester, whatever you would like. And any of those formats can be uploaded here when you create a journal entry. You'll just click on that button and it'll allow you to type directly in here or attach a file. So if you choose to make a video file, or if you want to type on a Word document or do a PowerPoint or a Zoom recording of yourself talking through the content, Any of those files can be uploaded, and then you just can either save it as a draft or post it. If you save it as a draft, I can't see it yet, so just make sure you post it by the time that it is due. So every week you will also have the option, if you like, sometimes people like to share their ideas too. And if they're, things that you want to share with the whole group of coaches, you can go to the discussion board and post the same content for your SAA if you would like to share, or the same content for your CC if you would like to share your CC from that week with the group. You can create a thread in the discussion board. Or if you have something else that you would like to do, a question, you can share that there. So these first two paragraphs are the same every week for the CC, just kind of telling you the directions. And then the third paragraph is the directions for that particular week. So for week 1, for example, you will just practice. You're going to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and talk about why you're in tour as a coach and anything else that you would like to share. So just kind of to get you to practice exploring a format that you want to try, practice using Blackboard, practice writing or creating a CC. And then the fourth line there is always the due date, which, like I said, will always be Sundays at 11:59 p.m. Following the week of the content, or the week before break, you have to do it by Friday night. So, like I said, you can use the discussion board if you were so inclined to share something in addition to your critical commentary, or if you would like to share your CC with the group. You can just click on open forum, and this is where you can ask questions, share ideas, anything that you would like the whole group to see, and you create a thread. And then you can type. You can also attach files. So again, any format is fine for this. Just like your CCs, if you want to do a video, PowerPoint, Word doc, type it directly in there, anything is fine. So that is kind of our open forum for the whole group of the coaches that are working with tour this semester. Coaches and Mary Beth and myself can see this open forum, but critical commentaries, nobody can see except for myself and Mary Beth, because we're the instructors of the course. There's also a tab for extra materials. So these are just extra copies of what you have in your materials packet. So theoretically, you don't necessarily need any of these. These are all PDFs. So if you were to lose something, you could come to the office and print one of the PDFs. You have access to those on your Blackboard page. If you want to do one digitally extra online just to practice, you can click on the PDF, and then you have the worksheet or whatever material it is. If you would like to practice, you can download a copy to your computer and use it to practice on your own. Or if your mentee would prefer, there are Word documents of some of these materials in the weeks, but these are also PDFs if that's an easier format. Those are just under extra materials, PDFs. There's also an announcement tab where anything that I post will be collected there, but it also will go out to your email, just like when your professors in your courses send out an email through Blackboard, it ends up in your email and in your announcements. So make sure you're checking your U of R email because that's the one that we have on file for Blackboard. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about some of the weeks and kind of how things are going to go week to week. So we talked about week 1 already. Now starting in week 2, there will be more links for you to be exploring in your asynchronous work and sometimes also with your mentee. So for week 2, you have a pre-survey that you will fill out as a coach, and just note that it's a pre-survey as one of the questions. And these are some reflection questions about self-advocacy particularly, which when you start to get into watching the videos and reading the materials, you'll see kind of how those questions relate. But the pre-survey is just kind of for me to see where we are before we start the semester. There will often be videos for you to watch as part of your asynchronous training. So you just click on that, it opens in a new tab. and takes you to a video of the content for that day. This article is a PDF in, again, that opens in a new tab for you. So you can read it online, download it and save it if you want. And then your critical commentary is to reflect on your learning this week, and the reminder to go and click into the critical commentaries. It's listed at the bottom, but it is not linked here. So you have to click into the critical commentaries every time you have one due, click on the correct week, and then the detailed directions of what you are reflecting on that week will be there. Again, any format is fine for those. So week 3, very similar, you have a video. Then this is where we start getting into some of the lessons. So the instructions for many of the weeks are to practice the lesson, so you're prepared to do it with your mentee. And then your CC is reflecting on that work, on how you learned throughout that lesson, how it was implementing it for yourself, and then how you plan to do it for your mentee. And the reason that this is kind of split week by week is so that I can go in and check, make sure everybody's on the right track as coaches, you know, before you actually have to implement the lesson the following week. The first lesson, you'll watch the video, and then the lesson outline is here, and then your CC reminder is here. So again, you'll click on that. Every lesson, there is the lesson title, and then underneath is the materials. So everything is included except for pens and pencils, which I expect that you would provide those on your own. But actually, I think we do have pens and pencils in the materials packet. So those are there too. So all the materials that you need will be listed here, and these are all things from your materials packet. So there's 3 magazines in your materials packet, a piece of cardstock, scissors and glue, and a pen or pencil. So because for this activity, you're going to be reading the objective of the lesson, what's the goal for the lesson that day. So, and then reading through the directions of how you're going to actually go through the lesson and what the activities are. This one, you'll be doing some kind of collaging and making a little poster on the cardstock with pictures from the magazines. So that's why you have those materials from your packet. And again, you're prepping for this lesson the week of January 23rd, and then you're actually implementing that lesson here in week 4, the week of January 30th. You'll also have the tour students complete the pre-survey. So they'll click in and they'll, you can do this with them if they need help, but they'll select their tour student and that this is a pre-survey and answer all the questions. So again, this week, most of the asynchronous work is pretty straightforward, that you're going to watch a video, practice the lesson, and then do a CC reflecting on the lesson. So again, materials, you might need to prepare some materials ahead of time. So for this lesson, you have to cut out some strips of paper from one of the worksheets. So the paper and the scissors are provided, but you just have to prepare that ahead of time. And you will go through the lesson, make sure that you know what to do. Again, if you ever have questions after watching the video and reading through the lesson reflection and looking at the materials in your packet, please reach out to me, and I will be happy to help you out. So again, looking at another lesson, this lesson has a digital component. So in your packet, you will notice that you have many worksheets. There are also a lot of lessons that have a digital worksheet instead. So I use Jamboard for digital worksheets. So you'll click on that and that'll take you to some directions, some examples, and then blank Jamboard pages. So you can go to any of the blank Jamboard pages that have not been used yet. Just a reminder, if you are using a Jamboard, it is visible to the other people who are using the same Jamboard. So if I'm working with one of the tour students and we use page 5 and create our Jamboard here, the next time a coach goes in with another tour student, they can still see page 5 that has been filled out, even if they go to page 6 to fill out the next blank one. So just keep that in mind as you're working with your with the tour students on these, that these are shared with the coach, with all the other coaches, so the other tour students could potentially see each other's Jamboards just as you're looking at that content. So the objectives and directions are listed here. There's no physical materials from your packet that you need that day. So the Jamboard is the only one listed, and again, there's a critical commentary. A note on the lesson preparation. So each week you'll be expected to prepare for the lesson by watching the video and preparing through reading the lesson activity plan. And then you'll practice with the activity yourself. So you can use some of those extra PDFs if you want to practice, like with a copy of it online or on the computer. But the actual hard copies in your materials packet are for the tour students to use. So, don't write on those yet unless you need to make notes to kind of adjust it for your tour student a little bit, similar to how you might do in an academic setting. But those are pretty much already set to go for the tour students, and you should be able to use those with them. So kind of just make sure that you're not using the hard copies ahead of time, and that you're saving those for when you actually have the lesson implemented with the tour students. And then students can take their worksheets home with them after each lesson. So for example, this week 5, you're working on the self-reflection sentence game and discussion prompts. So there are some materials, some paper materials that you will be using. There's some sentence strips and a little half sheet worksheet. So the tour student can take all of those home with them if they would like. After the lesson is over, you don't have to save those materials of those hard copy papers after the lesson. So week 6 is a catch-up week. So you do have an optional activity. If you would like to log an extra hour of work, you can, but you do not have to. There's no critical commentary, but you will be meeting with your mentee and doing the growth mindset lightbulb Jamboard lesson. Then week 7, you will not meet with BOCES because they're on break, but you are preparing the rights and responsibilities lesson. You have to cut out some materials ahead of time from your packet. Week 8, just a reminder to complete your work by Friday, March 3rd at 11:59 p.m. before you go on break. So you're not logging any hours between March 3rd and March 13th because of U of R's break. Again, some of these, so this is where we start having a little bit more choice in the lessons for the tour students. So just like you have some choice in your critical commentaries each week about what format you would like to use, we want to give our tour students choice. This is part of universal design for learning, that there are many different formats that work differently and well for different people. So, so starting in week 8, about halfway through, you have the option to use the Circle of Support worksheet that is in your materials packet, or you can use a Jamboard. So I have an example here of the Circle of Support Jamboard and how that looks. Again, you'll figure this out when you watch the video and do the actual lesson planning, but then you would just go to a blank Jamboard page in this Jamboard and fill that out. So again, that's the a choice for your SAA mentee to make if they would like to use the digital copy or the hard copy of the worksheet. So the week before, when you're preparing this lesson, you will ask your mentee, hey, we're doing, circles of support next week in SAA. Do you want to do it on paper or do you want to do it on a Jamboard? And they will have already done at least one of each of those activities. So, hopefully you can help them decide what they would like to do. And then you can plan accordingly when you are doing your preparation for the following week. Also, there's, in this lesson, you'll take the blank note card or thank you card that's in your packet, or students can always create a digital card or an email if they would rather do that in this kind of optional section of the activity. Week 9 is U of R break. So there's nothing for you to do that week. Week 10, you'll be implementing the circles of support lesson with your mentee and then preparing for a self-reflection. This one, you do have some preparation to do ahead of time, which is some cutting out and gluing. For the thinking about the future lesson, as you are starting to prepare, ask your mentee if they would like to do it on a hard copy worksheet. In Word, there's a Word document you can download in addition to the PDFs that are in the extra materials, or a Jamboard again. So those are, again, same thing, just know that that's visible to other tour students with their coaches that they're working on. So make sure you ask your mentee what they would prefer to do for that lesson ahead of time. If you do hard copy of the thinking about the future lesson, you will need that worksheet for the following lesson, which is after BOCES break. So just remind them to bring that back if they have chosen to do that on paper or have access to the digital one that they worked on. Again, in week 12, this is a catch-up week because BOCES is on break the following week. So you do not have any work that you have to do, but if you would like to log any time, you can view some of the inclusive higher education videos on our CCE's YouTube channel. Then when BOCES is on break, you're just going to review if you have any questions about the video from the prior week, and then practice the situations and steps to a goal lesson. Again, you can use the hard copy of the worksheet from your packet or a Word document, which you can download here. Week 14 is your last official week with your tour students, unless you choose to meet the last week of the semester. So this is when you will have the tour students complete the post survey. So you'll have them go make sure they have a tour student that's the post survey and fill out the questions. Please don't look at the answers that they filled out the first time if you still have access to that for some reason. This is just kind of like, again, a moment in time, like where we're at right now after doing the curriculum for the semester. And then asking if they want to do their last lesson, which is goals practice and goal setting, the hard copies of worksheets that you have in your packet or Word documents, which you can download there. And finally, week 15, you can, or you will be working with your mentee on goal setting activity. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Week 16 is optional to meet with your mentees, but week 15, you are working with your mentees on goal setting and wrapping up any discussions for the semester. Your asynchronous work for this last week is just to complete week 15 CC and then fill out the post survey. Again, just click on that link, fill out that you are a tour coach and that it is the post survey, and that's where you're going to be. So week 15, you do have to meet with your mentee that week, the week of April 17th through the 21st. And then week 16, which is the 24th through the 26th, you have the option to meet with your mentee one more time if you would like to, but you don't have to that week. So again, just make sure that if you did not come to the mid-year training, that you come to the office to pick up your packet of materials. Our office is open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and it's in Lattimore 107. So please make sure you have that before you start working on preparing the lessons. And as always, let me know if you have any questions at all. My email is iatga@rochester.edu. Thanks so much.